travel transformation coach. She is a writer and a national travel advocate, host of the Travel Transformation Podcast, and founder of the Travel Transformation Company. She's an author. She is the author of the books Write Your Life, The Ultimate Life Hack for Achieving Your Dreams, and Intentional Travel Transformation, Boost Your Confidence, Conquer Your Fears, and finally become the person you've always wanted to be. Through sharing her experiences as an introverted digital nomad and solo female traveler, she's here to show people that it's never too late to step outside their comfort zone and boost their confidence through travel, and that they don't have to do anything as monumental as hiking the Pacific Crest Trail or climbing Mount Everest to achieve the transformation results. I know that's right. Jessica completely flipped the script on her life using intentional travel, and now it's her mission to help others do the same through her books, her podcast, and her online travel transformation academy. Please welcome Jess Colman
Thank you.
to the YouTube family. So today, y'all, we are going to talk about travel and transformation. Y'all already know my story. I am all about travel and transformation. And when I came across Jess's page, I was like, I have to interview her because she is on the same team. And we're trying to bring y'all to travel and to transform your life as and get as many people as possible. So let's go ahead and get started. Today, we're just going to have a conversation about solo travel, what it means for both of us, and how it's transformed our lives. So, Jess, welcome, welcome, welcome. I wanted to go ahead and start with, how has solo travel transformed your life?
Whew, I mean, it has transformed it in all kinds of amazing ways. But yeah, I think the first thing you need to know about me is that um, even just a couple of years ago, I was like the shyest, quietest, most introverted introvert you will ever meet. I've always had, I've always had like the greatest fear has been like public speaking, like even at school, getting up and doing like a presentation, things like that, like would just fill me with dread for like weeks, like literally weeks beforehand. And like that had, bled into every area of my life. I was, not confident, didn't have self-confidence, any of that. And I've always loved traveling. But until a few years ago, I'd not done solo traveling. Again, it's that confidence thing. Not thinking like, oh, someone like me, I'm very quiet, I'm very shy. What if I get lost and I don't want to ask anyone for directions? Is that level of shyness. But then, like a lot of people during the pandemic, I couldn't go anywhere. I also had this sort of back problem for a good few years that sort of overlapped with all the lockdowns. So I hadn't been able to like go out much anyway. And then the lockdowns happened, and I was just like, I need like if this ever ends, because it didn't feel like it was ever going to end at some point.
Right.
And if I can get on a plane again, then I'm just going to be like, I'm not going to use the same excuses I've always been using, that I can't do it because I'm too quiet, I'm too shy, I don't have the confidence, all that stuff. Um, and I'd been on this mailing list of this co-living company called Sun and Co, which is based in Spain, for years and years and years. I'd actually almost booked to go there. They have like a co-living house, so it's like digital nomads, remote workers from all over the world. You go and you work remotely, you live together, you socialize together, all that stuff. And I'd wanted to go for years, but I hadn't felt confident enough. And then after the pandemic, I think it was the end of 2021, I wanted to shake things up a bit. So I did this sort of self-imposed challenge, which I called Flip the Script on Fear Challenge. And I did like one thing a day for 30 days that either scared me or that I'd been putting off. Because I think we often put things off out of fear, like either fear of the consequences or fear of what people will think of us. Like it's that judgment thing again. And several of those days involved me applying to the co-living, like handing in my notice on my rental place, putting all my stuff in storage. And then I think it was April 2022, I got on a plane to Spain, to the Basque Country, northern Spain, really beautiful, to their co-living house there. And I was there for a month. And someone like me, very introverted, as I said, very shy, like just going there by myself and meeting these like 20 digital nomads from all over the world was I was very scared. Like, I was like, "Oh god, what are they gonna think of me?" Like, they're all gonna be really
Right.
outgoing and, like, all the, like, fears of meeting new people, making first impressions, all that kind of stuff. But I'd gone with an intention in mind, and I knew this company. I knew they were really into self-development, personal growth, helping you with your business if you have one, career development, that kind of thing. And you could volunteer to run like a workshop or do a talk, do a speech, that kind of thing. And even if it's to like 15 people, like that's still, it was like terrifying to me. But I forced myself to put my name down. We had like a little Excel spreadsheet before I got there, and I put my name down. I wanted to do a talk on life purpose and legacy because I'm really into that kind of thing as well. And lots of people signed up, to my horror, and I realized I actually had to do it. So I got there,
Right.
like, and within a couple days, it was my turn to go, and I was shaking. I was like, it sounds ridiculous, but if you've always had this fear of public speaking, like, it can be that bad. And I did it, and everyone was lovely, and it went well, and I felt so, like, relieved afterwards, but also so, like, accomplished. I was like, I never thought I would put myself forward to do something like this. Like, at school, I was, like, made to do it, but here I actually decided to do it for myself.
Right.
And
Right.
it was an amazing feeling. So I spent the rest of that month, like, just saying yes to every opportunity, whether it was, workshops, like we do quite in depth, like personal development stuff, mindset stuff, quite, personal things that I'm not used to talking about. I'm used to sitting in the corner and like taking everything in, but I made sure I put my hand up and spoke in like every session, all that kind of stuff, did all the social things. By the end of the month, I just felt like a completely trans I felt so much more confident. I wasn't letting my fear or my limiting beliefs of like, I can't do this because I'm introverted, because I'm shy, because I'm quiet. I wasn't letting that hold me back anymore. And I actually wrote a poem, like a sort of funny little poem, just to remember our time by. I had all our little in jokes in and stuff like that. And I wrote it basically just for myself so I wouldn't forget everything that we'd done. But then we had our sort of last supper night, like on the last night, and I stood up and voluntarily read it out to the group, which is also one of my worst nightmares, like reading my own work out to people. Like, I'm a writer, but the thought of standing up and like, an open mic night or something, is kind of terrifying. But I did that, and I wasn't scared, I wasn't nervous, and I was just thinking, like, compare this to the me of a month ago, doing that presentation when I was absolutely terrified. Like, how far I've come in just 1 month is like absolutely crazy. Um, I did another month of solo traveling after that. I went to another co-living house in Spain, and I went to Paris by myself. Um, and then when I came back to England, I was like, I need to do something with this. Like, I feel like a completely different person. I want to help other people do the same thing, like transform through travel, intentional travel, like go on a trip with an intention of overcoming a limiting belief or a fear or improving something you want to work on. There are plenty of, different places that you can do this, plenty of ways you can do it. So I wrote a book about my time, my 2 months away. I started a podcast. I started doing online courses. And yeah, it all sort of has come to this moment now. Whereas, as I said, like before that trip, I wouldn't have even considered doing something like this, like a YouTube live. Like, it would have been too scary for me. Like, that kind of thing. So it has boosted my confidence no end. I think solo travel does that anyway, because it shows you how capable you are, and how, even if you're in, a different country where you don't speak the language, and you can navigate your way around, and you can, you show yourself what you're capable of. It's just amazing. Um, and yeah, that's sort of how I've transformed till now. And so not only has it transformed my confidence and my beliefs about who I am and what I'm capable of and what I can and can't do, like I was telling myself I couldn't do things, other people were maybe telling it too, and I'd internalize that. And so it's all done that, but it also has transformed my life in that I sort of started a whole different career from it. So that's like
Right.
a big change as well.
Yeah, and actually, you just made me remember. This is for those of y'all who want transformation, like kind of not overnight transformation, but pretty quick transformation. I kind of did the same thing before my first world solo travel trip. What not kind of, I did the same exact thing, which was in February. Every single day for February, which is the shortest month of the year, which kind of, it's kind of a little hack for some of y'all who, who want to cheat a little bit. Every day I did something that scared me. And
Amazing.
both had that experience through solo travel.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's key. The key is discomfort, and if you don't know where to start, you start with every day do something that scares you or do something that you're not comfortable with. And this is a huge hack, and I think this is one of the biggest keys to stepping into that new version of yourself, to kind of, putting yourself in a place of becoming without having to, I don't know how to put this, without having to do all the research or take the courses, right? If you're somebody who doesn't even know where to start, and doesn't necessarily have the money to invest in these like really expensive,
Mhm.
courses or workshops, just start with doing something that makes you uncomfortable. Do it once a day. Doesn't have to be a big days. That's it. And like at the end of those 30 days, yeah, magic happens. So thank you so much for reminding me about that, because like I had completely forgot. But that was actually one of the things that I did to kind of completely change my life and elevate my lifestyle after 4 months of putting in the work. So thank you. Yes.
I
This is
love
I
that.
think
I
this
love
is
that. I love
key.
we both did the same thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Again, I did not even remember this until you said it, but yeah, it's like it's really that I think that's a key. That's really a key to it, and sometimes it does take a little bit like planning. I think one thing that I'm trying to kind of get more into the rhythm of now is yeah, cold showers apparently are really good for it. I don't know. I've tried it. Every time I like step into the cold shower, I scream because I'm just like, this is not it. This is just it's not it. So if you really don't know where to start, you can start with that if you're willing to. But yeah, it's essential. It's essential to start to practice getting uncomfortable. Doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be literally. It could be writing with your left or your non-dominant hand. I guess because some people out there are lefties, right? So writing with your non-dominant hand, doing that once, okay, that's gonna make you uncomfortable because you don't usually write with your non-dominant hand, right? So that's just an example. For those of you who aren't ready to, completely kind of do the leap of faith and
Mhm.
solo travel, right? But that's one way you can start. Wait, so that's perfect. So I think what we're getting at is that, when we solo travel, it really it empowers us to know ourselves more, right?
Mhm.
In different ways, and know and understand aspects of ourselves that maybe we haven't explored before. So I wanted to ask you, how has solo travel grown your relationship with yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, a lot of it is about the stories you tell yourself about yourself. But a lot of it is the stories you don't even realize you're sort of borrowing from other people. Like I grew up, I was a quiet kid, yes. And so I had people tell me all the time, "You're really quiet." And I was like, "I know." But if you have people tell you that all the time, you start to think maybe there's something wrong with you, or you're not good enough because you're quiet. And you internalize all that stuff until you think that they're your own beliefs. And they might not be. Like they might be you've got a family member or you had a teacher that told you something once that stuck with you and you don't even remember what they said, but it's sort of it's gone into you and you believe that you're not good at something because one person told you once, and especially during those like formative years. So travels really made me, or especially that trip, it made me question the beliefs I had about myself, like the limiting beliefs, the general beliefs, like my identity, like what I identified as a quiet, shy introvert, like, when there's so much more to a person than that. And even if you are that, like, there's nothing wrong with that. It just means you see the world differently. It means you have different ways of seeing things, different perspectives that can actually be a good thing. It can be, if everyone was the same, if everyone was really extroverted and outgoing and all that kind of stuff, it wouldn't really work. You need different personalities in a house, you need different personalities in the world. And I think just meeting people from lots of different backgrounds, lots of different countries, lots of different cultures and upbringings, and learning about how they grew up and how they live and how they see the world, um, it can really change your own perspective on like yourself and how you live, and if there's something you can be, thinking about to improve, or it's a cliche, but it broadens your horizons. You see how different people live and see things, and it can really make you sort of sit and reflect on yourself, which is something I find very difficult to do. Like, if you're not used to it, a lot of people just go through life, they don't really think about this stuff, do they? And I started getting into self-development and mindset and that kind of stuff during the pandemic, like a lot of people think did as well. A lot more time on our hands, maybe a lot more pondering of what am I doing with my life? Like, am I even happy? Like, am I doing what I want to be doing? And I
Right.
came to the conclusion that I wasn't, because I want to travel more, and I wasn't doing that before the pandemic. And it was the catalyst I needed to be like, right, when the world starts opening up again, that is exactly what I'm going to do, because that's what I've been putting off out of fear. And a lot of that is solo travel, like I say, doing it on your own, having to navigate, countries on your own, solve problems on your own. You show yourself that you're capable of so much more, and that can be applied to every area of your life. It's not just when you're out traveling, in a different country. It's when you're home and there's a problem to be solved. It's, having the confidence to start your own business, or do a podcast, or, put yourself out there on social media. Like, it bleeds into every area of your life. So it's made me way more confident, and it's just shown me that I am capable of doing stuff. And yeah, without that, I wouldn't be doing this kind of thing today. So it's very, very powerful.
Yeah, sorry, it's like cutting in and out a little bit.
Oh,
But I like what you said about how solo travel is powerful, right? It's this powerful way to start to invest in ourselves and to start to understand, like, exactly what you just said, right? Understand that we're not taught to sit with ourselves. We're not taught to sit and ask, am I happy? Like, I think that one question,
mhm,
right? We're just not taught to do that. And I think if more people just ask themselves that, periodically, am I truly happy? Am I truly doing what I came here to do? I think if more people ask themselves that, I think it would really empower that that journey of kind of growing the relationship that we have with ourselves, right? It's I think it's so important to just invest like all of that time. But I think the biggest thing is that you have to kind of start with that question, am I happy? I think that's
mhm,
kind of the starting point. And sometimes it takes us to solo travel, it takes us to have space for ourselves, right? To get out of the regular routine in order for us to even ask that question, right? Because when we're stuck in this routine of waking up, drinking my coffee, taking a shower, going to work, coming back from work, eating, okay, my brain is fried from work. Now I need to just relax. I don't want to think about anything. I don't even want to ask myself the question, am I happy? I just want to watch TV, right? And it's understandable, right? Because I think a lot of our jobs, a lot of the 9 to 5s, it takes a lot from us. And I think it's kind of, I would even go so far as to say it's the purpose. But
mhm.
like, this is me being me. I don't think maybe everybody would agree with this, but this is me being me. So, but it's just really important. So it's like when we solo travel, and even solo travel doesn't have to be this thing where it's like, oh, I'm gonna go away for 2 months, or it can be a weekend thing. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't, like, that's what I really want to emphasize to people. Like, it doesn't have to be this huge. Okay, I gotta save up money. I gotta save up money, buy the plane ticket, organize the trip. Like, it doesn't have to be that. It can just be, oh, I'm gonna go to the neighboring city for the weekend, and I'm gonna focus on me. Right? It doesn't have to be this big thing. That's what I really want to emphasize to everybody who watches this. So thank you for sharing your story. And again, you are really empowering to make all of these revelations, not just about solo travel, but about my personal journey also. Asking yourself, am I happy? That's golden, right? This is a key to starting that process of transformation. And even in my experience, when I first I had my little leap, that's what I'm going to call it, my little leap, not really a little leap, but a big leap. That was one of the first things I noticed about myself when I was in Puerto Rico, and COVID happened, and I decided to stay in Puerto Rico because I lost my job and everything. um Even when I was there, I realized, like, oh, I can prioritize my happiness. Oh, this is what makes me happy. the sunshine, the beach, eating fresh fruit and vegetables, being in the warmth. This is what truly makes me happy. And yeah, I have to say, it wasn't until I solo traveled that I realized that, right, that it really brought that to light. Um, so thank you for bringing that to life for me. 'Cause I was like, okay. Um, and so just to let's go into the next question. So how has solo travel empowered you to let go of toxic people in your life? So this is another big thing that was part of my process of leaping into this next version of myself, which happened to include solo travel. Was that I had to, and I don't even want to say toxic, right? I had to let go of the relationships that didn't serve me anymore. Because there's no,
Mhm.
it's not really about the toxicity. I mean, sometimes it is, and I think a year before my big leap, my big solo travel leap, I started that process. But then it was like the 4 months leading up to that leap, I had to start to reflect on, who is really here for me and really here for me to improve myself, and who is holding me back. So anyway, so just talking about that process of kind of, once you shed the layers, who is really gonna be with you on that journey. Did you have to go through a process where you had to kind of let go of the people in your life who weren't serving you? And then what did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, like you, I don't think I'd use the word toxic. But it's that thing, isn't it? Like you're the average of the 5 or the 6 people you spend the most time with. They've done lots of studies about this, the average income, the average, what your ambitions are in life. If you surround yourself with high achieving people who are doing amazing things more than you, you're more likely to go after it because you can see it's possible. And I think travel for me, especially staying in like co-livings and things like that, when you're with people, like you're these incredible people from all over the world who have their own businesses, who have their own like empires that they run remotely from, glamorous locations, and they put the work in, but they've achieved these things that you don't think are possible. And it's not necessarily about how much income they're making. It's, they're happy. Like we say, are you happy? They have this lifestyle that they have created and designed for themselves that makes them happy, that they have the freedom, they have the independence, they can go where they want, they can, and they're doing work that is meaningful to them, which I think is key as well. It's a purpose behind it. They're not just doing it for the money, they're not just doing it to pay the rent. They're doing it to fuel their lifestyle, but a lot of these people, they're doing it to help other people as well. And surrounding yourself with people like that, it shows you that it's possible to design your dream lifestyle. Like it's not this unachievable, unattainable thing that you only see in movies. And I think that's really what's affected me the most, because I'm from a small town. Actually, I'm from a small village next to a small town,
Okay.
and growing up, there are amazing people here, obviously, but a lot of them, a lot of people don't leave. They stay here. They're in a 9 to 5. They do the whole, university, get a job, get a mortgage, get a dog, get kids, retire. And like, there's nothing wrong with that if you're happy with that. But I think a lot of people aren't happy with that, but they don't know how to break out of that because it's what society has told them they should do. And I think it's obviously changing, especially since the pandemic, where remote work is more of a thing now. But just being around these people and seeing what's possible for me, coming from a small village where growing up I didn't even see any examples of this, of people like leaving and traveling the world and doing all these amazing things. It's just shown me that I can do those things, and it's encouraged me to like just not hang around with like small-minded, narrow-minded people. And you can be narrow-minded in lots of different ways. You can be prejudiced, but you can also be you know against this lifestyle, thinking that it's all, like influencers who are, not doing anything meaningful with their lives, and it's not the case. And I think it's just shown me, yeah, what's possible, and then, yeah, taught me not to hang around with people who, drain my energy, the vampires that just moan and moan and moan whenever you see them, and you're just like, I can't deal with this. It's bringing me down, just to like just put those people out of your life as much as you can. You can still, say hi, you can still support them, but you don't have to let them in to drain you every week if you're, seeing them every week or something. And surround yourself with positive people who believe that anything is possible and who actually go out there and do things. And that's really, really inspired me and motivated me to keep going with, travel, with my business, with everything I want to do in life. You need to surround yourself with the right people, and travel has taught me that there are so many incredible people out there that you can meet and learn from on the road. So yeah.
Wait, so how did you get to, because you said you were from a small village, right? How did you get to the point where you were able to, like, even before you telling yourself you want to transform, was there a point or somebody you talked to, or something that happened that brought the idea to start traveling and transforming yourself to you?
Well, I've always loved traveling. I've been very privileged in that, we went on like family holidays every year, either in England or Europe, somewhere like hopped over to France or Spain or something for a week a year. But there was one trip when I was 11. I went with my family, my parents and my brother, to the States. Actually, we did like a road trip around some of the sort of Midwest states, I think. And that just opened up my eyes. I was like, first of all, I fell in love with like your national parks and things like amazing, so
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Um, and just the thought that you can, get on a plane, you can hire a car, you can roam around, stay in motels. Like I was 11, like an American motel was like something I only saw in movies. Like, so
Oh.
even if it was like a really like divey motel, I was like, this is amazing. Um,
Because like here we're like, do not go to a motel. Like if you're traveling solo in the States, please
oh
do
no,
not go
no,
to a
no.
motel. Do not do
I would
that
not
unless you're with a
stay in a
group.
solo. No, no,
Girl,
no.
no, no, no. Wait, so what do you guys have in England if you
We
don't
don't
have
really have
motel?
motels. We have like B&Bs, I would say, like
Oh,
bed and
okay.
breakfasts,
Oh,
that kind of thing.
like a cottage? Is that what y'all
That
have?
yeah, those kind
Oh
of
my
things.
god,
Those
I'm
are like the traditional little
so yeah, I love it. I love
yeah, not quite the
it.
same. But yeah, so that trip, I think that trip inspired me. So when I came to university, I did film studies, which I was really into films. But then I did a joint degree with American studies, so it was like American literature, history, culture, all that stuff. And as part of that, I got to go to Colorado on a year abroad. And I think that was probably what sowed the seed for, all my other travels, because I had the best time there, like the best time. It's in Boulder, Colorado, so beautiful, all the mountains. I'm a really like mountainy person. Um,
Mhm.
Meeting so many people. I was on like the international committee thing there. We did like a little, a big event that they do every year, and just meeting people from all over the world and experiencing university or college in a completely different way. I think that just gave me the bug. And then after that, a few years after that, I went traveling with my friend. We did sort of Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand. So I've always had the bug. And then it wasn't until a few years ago I went to Thailand, and that was my first solo trip. Stayed in like a writer's house on Koh Samui, and that was incredible. Again, staying with people from all over the world, I think that's the key. Like, you can go to one country, but it doesn't mean you just have to hang out with people from that country. You can meet so many people and see, things from their perspective, see that culture from their perspective, and it's just really interesting. So yeah, I would say my two trips to the States, really just showed me how amazing travel is and all the amazing people you can meet. And I have friends still from my year abroad that I see regularly, and yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's I think for me too, one of the keys to solo travel and the thing that has saved me time and time again from just messiness that happens when you travel abroad for a long term, is knowing locals and knowing expats too really helps because then there's no language barrier, but it's so important to really connect with locals, connect with expats, because then you're going to get a completely different travel experience that I think is going to have more of an impact on your life. I'm so sorry. Is that a wolf? There is no way. I think it's a coyote. I'm so sorry. I'm so, I'm so, like, I've never seen, I will literally show you guys. Wait, don't leave, don't leave. Do you see it running?
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
God. What the heck? Sorry.
I thought you were hallucinating then. I was like, yeah. Wow.
Like, oh my god! I thought it was a dog too. I was like, that's not a that's no, and it's not a wolf. There's no wolves here. That's definitely Coyote. Oh my god.
Wow.
Dating the dog next door. I think that's what's going on. Because like in broad daylight, like what? Okay. Anyway, I'm so sorry for interrupting.
That's okay. I'm glad you caught it on camera.
I had to. I had to. I was like, what is going on? Whoa. Okay. Anyway, I'm so sorry, y'all. This is me. This is my life right now. Okay, so we were talking about forming relationships abroad. Okay. So what and actually this is purpose. This is one of the things I also wanted to talk about. So just from my experience, one of the biggest takeaways from solo travel was forming those relationships abroad because like one of the reasons I got into investing in crypto was because there was one time where I was at a hostel and literally it was like everybody was a crypto bro. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. It's really crazy. But literally everybody around me, they invested in crypto, they knew about crypto, and these were like young, maybe 2 years younger. I guess no, they were just all everybody was in their 20s, I guess. Yeah. But I was never in the tech field. I never had really friends in tech. So I had never dabbled in that. I mean, I heard about it, but I never really, and it presented an opportunity for me to learn about it. So literally, because this was at a time where it was very, I think, more difficult to invest in crypto. I think now it's a lot easier, to be honest. But I remember asking one person about it, and I was like, "What? That makes no blockchain. Like, what is like?" I didn't understand what they were saying. It was like a different language.
Yeah.
And because I had so many people around me who did crypto, I literally asked the same question to four different people. And after that fourth time, I understood, oh, that's what that is. So anyway, so that's just an example of how traveling and solo traveling has allowed me to make connections with people and open my eyes to parts of our world that I had no clue about before. Did any of that has that happened to you? And if so, like what was it that you kind of what was
Yeah,
revealed?
yeah, I think that, like, staying in hostels, co-livings, like you say, there are so many people doing interesting jobs that you didn't even know it was a thing.
Right.
And the amount of people I've met and the jobs they do, like the remote jobs they do or the businesses they own, that have just shown me, like, wow, you really can do anything and make money and travel the world, like, if you put your mind to it. And there was like a guy who had like Germany's largest um like party games, like e-commerce still. Like he was doing like flip cup tables and foosball tables and beer pong stuff. And that's how he makes his money. And I was just like, okay, that's pretty cool. Um, people who do like breathwork sessions and coaching, all kinds of stuff that you would never think of to, make money. And it's just that what their expertise is, and they've just packaged it in this coaching like package for people. And you pick up things here and there from like so many different things. Like you learn, like you say, you learn about crypto for a bit, or you learn about e-commerce, or you learn like how people are coding stuff. And like there's so many like coders that like digital nomad
So
co-living
many.
things.
Like I was like, I messed up when I went to college. Yeah.
Okay.
That was one of the biggest things was I was like, oh my God, like look, if you are in college right now, switch your major. I'm telling you, like IT is the way to go. I mean, there's some people who say it'll change in the next 10 years, but look, for right now, it ain't changing. So if you want a remote job that pays well, IT is it.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just seeing like what other people make their money from. Like my friend Irene from South Africa, she's like an accountant by day and a stunt double by night. Like it's just
What?
like all these crazy things.
Oh, that's crazy.
And
Wow.
you just like there's not just a set path that you can take to earn money. You can literally think, what do I enjoy doing? What skills do I have? What could I teach others to do? And you can do it and you can make money. And it's just, opening your eyes to that kind of thing. And yeah, I've learned so much stuff. Like I say, the places I go to, they do a lot of like personal development workshops and things like that. Lots of exercises around mindset and all that kind of stuff. So I've learned so much from like actually doing that. I've had like there's a part of Sun and Co where you can do like one-on-one sessions. You can trade them, so you can like I could proofread something for someone. They could look at my website and give me tips and stuff. And so I've had like free sessions on my like website, free life coaching sessions, like all this stuff that I would never have done. I would never have, thought to pay for or to try on myself, like by myself when I'm at home. And so I've learned all kinds of things that I wouldn't have even known. And then I've met loads of great people, loads of friends who I've met up with since. They've come on my podcast, like all kinds of things. So I think if you're open to meeting people and just talking to them and just like finding out about their life and about their work and stuff, it's just absolutely fascinating. You can learn so much.
Yeah, I mean, it expands your mindset. Oh, okay. There's two things I want to talk about, so let's see if we can get to both of them. But I think so. First of all, the exchange, right? That's something I learned too traveling. I remember I was in, I think Merida in Mexico, and this lady was cooking, and this guy, he did social media stuff, and he was filming her. And I was like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" And she's like, "Oh, he's filming me cook because I want to work on this boat." She wanted to work on a yacht and be a chef on a yacht. And I guess now they need video for that. It was crazy too because it was like professional videography, and I was like,
Wow.
"This is what you need to work on a yacht." Okay, noted. But and then in exchange, she would cook for him. That was like, and give,
Mm.
and then he would also keep the content, the cooking content. He'll resell it later. Um, but yeah, it just empowers that kind of the exchange and that networking, but like in so much in like such a fun way. Like I feel like in the States, at least, you go to these networking events, and they're just like, they're just kind of I don't want to say fake, but they can be fake. And I love that travel, it empowers you to connect with people in such a genuine, honest way. And so um and when you start to do that, you start to not just expand yourself, but expand your network and expand your mindset, right? It starts to get you into an abundance mindset. It starts to make you understand that, you know um there are literally billions, probably more than that, trillions of different ways to receive money. Okay,
Mhm.
this is like a big lesson. This was something that I was manifesting the 4 months before I did my little leap and traveled abroad for 4.5 years after that. But one of the biggest things that I learned was abundance. I had asked, or I had tried to intentionalize, I want abundance, and I want it to be healthy, happy, and whole. And so when I ended up moving to Mexico, I had that. I was able, just because the dollar was more, but not just that. It was like I had access to the abundance that Mexico had, right? When we eat food here in the States, even if you go to the grocery store, a lot of the produce that we buy, it's not ripe. It's not picked at the right moment, really. It's picked so that it can be stored and shipped easily. But when I was in Mexico, I had access to freshly picked fruits and vegetables. I had access to an abundance of it, every day. That was the first day, I think, in my life where I was drinking smoothies every day. Or every morning. And it allowed me to live and embrace the abundance mindset. Whereas if I was in the States, I might have still have some like apprehensions about it, or I might have just been a little bit more like, is this real? But like when I was in Mexico, I was like, this is real. Like this is, it's like it's a different mindset. So was there any part when you were solo traveling, did you start to have or to start to experience that abundance mindset, and not even mindset, but that abundance lifestyle? And if so, like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I think, like we said, it's just seeing the the just how many different ways of living there are that you didn't even know about. Like, digital nomad is a term that gets thrown around it, but it doesn't have to mean you're on the road 24/7, 12 months a year. You know, like I'm not, and there are people who have a job, but they're allowed to, remote work for like 3 months out the year or something. So they go traveling and then they go back home. There's some people who travel for 6 months and then stay, slow travel.
Mhm.
There's some people who, only live in co-livings, and they just do that forever, like all around the world. And it's sort of like an abundance, because it shows you how many ways there are of living, that you don't just have to go to uni and then get a job and then settle down, or you don't just have to travel forever and that's it. Like, there are so many different ways. Like, you can rent out your place, you can go traveling, you can come back, you can, do what works for you. You can solo travel, you can solo travel for a bit and then travel with your partner. Like, there's no one set thing, there's no rule. You can make your own rules, especially these days when there's so many jobs that are remote. And I think for me, like, more than, money, or thinking of abundance in that terms, it's freedom, like an abundance of freedom. Once you start traveling, and you see how many ways there are to be free, and that can mean different things to different people. That really opens up your mindset, opens your eyes, opens up your world, and you can start designing that, like, lifestyle that you love. And yeah, I'm totally with you with, like, going somewhere with all the fresh food and veg, and just living a different way. Like, obviously food affects our mood and energy levels and stuff so much. And like in the Basque Country, everything was very fresh and amazing. And we had like local people, like local farms delivering, the food for the day, the produce, and we had some great cooks in the house. And yeah, just sitting there and feeling abundant in that way as well. It's just amazing. And the thing I love about Spain as well is they can take like 3 or 4 hours to have dinner. Like, it's not a rush, and that's totally normal. And people just sit and talk and relax. And they're not thinking about all the million things they need to do. They're not wolfing down the food to get back to work, which is what I usually do. And it's just such a nice way of feeling that freedom, like really living that freedom. Like, I have the time to do this. I have people I want to hang out with and want to get to know, and they don't rush you in restaurants. They don't care if you're like an hour late, like it's like Spanish time. They're like, yeah, turn up whenever. It's just such a different way of life, and I really liked that in Spain, because I think the UK and probably the US as well, like, we're all so
Yeah.
busy all the time. We never stop
Yeah.
to just chill out, and they do that every day. And they have the siesta in the middle of the day, and then they have these long dinners, and I really really like that aspect of it. And I think that's sort of like feeling abundant in like time
Ex-
and things like that.
Yes. Oh my God. So that's one of the biggest things I'm telling myself every single day. And this is kind of an abundance hack for those of y'all watching. Just tell yourself, I have an abundance of time. That's one of the biggest, I think, how do I want to put this? It's just one of the biggest things, or yeah, it's one of the biggest things that lead to stress, right? We think we don't have enough time. Just tell you, anytime you think about that, anytime you're like, oh my God, I have to do this, this, and this, just tell yourself, I have an abundance of time. That, I think that's like one of the easiest ways to kind of get into that mindset, no matter where you are, and get into that lifestyle. But that's one of the things I also learned when I went to Latin America. Latinos, oh my God, I love them. Like, they know how to have fun, they know how to live, and I love that mentality of like, it'll get done. It's fine. Like, there's no reason to stress. I don't know why we are taught to stress. Probably because of our parents, living in this Western society. Um, but we're taught to stress. We're taught that we don't have enough time. There's not enough time, right? But I love that. And oh my God, 3 to 4 hours siesta. Like, whew, I need to go to Spain soon. I
Yeah.
haven't been there yet, but oh my God, that sounds amazing. But I've seen some of the influence that the culture has had on other places that I've been to in Latin America. But yeah, just that abundance mindset, it starts with that time. I have an abundance of time. You need to tell yourself that, to really start to unlock, just attracting more abundance into your life. And solo travel is a way of doing that.
Mhm.
It's like a huge aspect of it, right? Um, oh my God, wait, so just can you just like walk me through like a day in the life in Spain? Like, what was it like? 'Cause, like,
Okay, so I lived in two co-living houses in Spain, the same company. One was in the Basque Country, which is beautiful, but it's very
real
similar
quick,
weather to, yeah.
sorry, what is the name of the company that you
So
went
it's
through?
Sun and Co. So SUN and Co, like company. And their main house is in Havea, which is sort of more South Spain. The pop-up they do is in the Basque Country every year now. So I've been to both, and the weather in the Basque Country is very similar to England. I think a lot of people don't realize that, and they go there and they're like, "Where's the sun?" We did have a sun quite a bit there, so it was very different both times. But Javier has more stuff to do, even though it's a small town. So for that, I'll go with that one. So you can wake up there. There are people there's like a courtyard outside, people doing yoga and stuff, having breakfast outside. Obviously, people are on
Wow.
different time zones. They're all working different time zones. So there are people
Mhm.
working early in the morning. There are people working at midnight. And everything in between. Um, so I'd get up, have my breakfast. They actually had a separate co-working office, like a couple minutes walk from the house. And it's through this beautiful old town in Javier, like all the beautiful old buildings and everything. It's like really quaint, really nice. So I'd go and work there for a bit. Then me and one of my friends, we'd go for a quick lunch along the street where there's loads of amazing restaurants that you can set aside. You can have like paella and stuff like that. Amazing lemon beer. We got addicted to lemon beer over there. It's everywhere. Um, Cider, they have such great drinks over there. A quick lunch would inevitably turn into like a 3-hour lunch because you're in Spain,
Of
obviously.
course.
No one's in a rush at all, so you don't feel like you need to be in a rush. And then you're like, oh wait, I should probably get back to work. So then you go back to work, a few more hours, and then usually sort of around 5 or 6, they'd have like either a family meeting, they call it, where you get together, and if it's like a Monday, then you'll come up with ideas for what you want to do for the next week in terms of like personal development stuff, workshops, social events. Everyone has their ideas, they put it all down and then they put it in the calendar. So like anyone who wants to go can do it. There's also a WhatsApp group, so you can put it in there. Or if someone wants to be like, hey, anyone want to go to the beach today? You can just easily organize stuff. So I think in that house, I'm not sure how many people, 20, 25 maybe. And obviously you don't see them all the time, but it's easier to keep in touch with WhatsApp. Then there might be like a workshop or something like that. They do things like masterminds. If you have a particular problem that you want solved, like with your work or just in life, like if you have an issue that you want to overcome, then you can go and say, I've got this thing. And then you can be in like the hot seat. And for an hour, people will just give you advice. They'll tell you their stories, all that kind of stuff,
Wow.
and try and help
Mhm.
the person through the issue. And if someone has like resources for that person, they can give it to them. They can say like, I'll talk to you afterwards. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, if you want to be private about it. That is a very great, like really great idea, I think.
Mhm.
You can really help people out with that. And then in the evening, there'll be some people working, but they'll be chilling. There'll be lots of long dinners, cooking together, drinking together outside, or you'll go out for a restaurant, or that kind of thing. If it's a weekend, you might go to the club, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, you can stay in dorm rooms, which are obviously a lot cheaper. You can get your own room if you want your own space. And I as an introvert who gets drained quite easily, then I like having my own space that you can go back to if you just need to like be by yourself for a bit, because it can be a bit full on. So I'd
Mhm.
recommend that if you're an introvert.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just amazing, and especially the rural one. When we were all together, we were kind of in a little own bubble. We're in the middle of nowhere. There was stuff to do, but like you had to go quite far to get to a town or stuff like that. You really bond really, really, really quickly, because you'll stay up drinking or talking till like 3 a.m., exchanging stories and just having fun. And honestly, like within a week, I felt like I'd known these people forever. So that's
Wow.
the great thing you come away with. And then you still have the WhatsApp group. So I still keep in contact with like people from like 2 years ago from when I met them there and stuff. So yeah, it's really cool.
Girl, that sounds like a dream. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Wow, that's incredible. I mean, it sounds like, it's so much more than a co-living space. I mean, I think it's really fostering community. That's why I asked for the
Mhm.
website. It's not why I asked, but I'm glad I asked about the website, because this is different. This isn't just I'm living with a bunch of people. This is like, how can we grow together? How can we all facilitate each other's growth? That's
Mhm.
incredible, because there's plenty of co-living spaces all over the world. I think every country I've been to, you can find at least one,
Yeah.
or a few in every major city. Like they're very common, but this is very different. And that's incredible. Okay, so real quick, we're gonna start to wrap up. Let me get my laptop out real quick. We're gonna do a couple of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Um, oh, but first of all, Well, actually, no. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this at the end. Y'all know how I do. Okay, so rapid fire questions. First one: top three places to solo travel to know you more.
Oh, Spain. Spain with all the long dinners.
Oh, right, of course.
Thailand, that was the first place I solo traveled. Amazing, incredible, lovely people. And I'm gonna say France, although I've only solo traveled to Paris myself. But if you can go to a big city and something you might think is too overwhelming, and you can, travel around on your own somewhere like that, then you can do it anywhere. And
Right.
Paris is, incredible place, obviously. So many things to see and do.
Yes, but you also live in England. Let's think earlier you said like, oh yeah, we just hop across the pond. I was like, girl, like I wish, but I guess like our like, version of that is like the Caribbean, Latin
Exactly.
America. So, to each their own.
Yeah.
Um okay, top three places to travel for fun, like for partying. Where would you recommend?
Oh, I would say that I did a month-long trip around Southeast Asia, like in a group. So it was Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, and Laos, and we had a blast. Just so many amazing places. It's obviously geared towards students. It's like students, travelers, partiers. Um, you know,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong with those countries, I don't think, if you're trying to look for a party.
Yeah, I agree. I get it so cheap there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Um, yeah, and for me, I would even add for me, I would say Mykonos. Have you been to Greece yet?
No, I haven't actually. It's on my list.
Yeah, it's expensive. It is more expensive. Well, actually, I think no, compared to England though, I don't think it's that expensive.
Hmm.
But I have to add Mykonos, Greece on the list. I
Okay.
love the island. I love that. It's lit. It's very lit.
Mhm.
Okay, so and then top three reasons why you should solo travel.
If you can do anything to step outside your comfort zone, and for me, the whole solo traveling thing is stepping outside my comfort zone. It's going to do nothing but boost your confidence in yourself, in your ability to travel, and in your ability to do other things. So that's one. Meeting other people is huge. Like I say, meeting people from around the world, seeing how they live, seeing how they were brought up, exchanging stories, learning swear words in different languages, like
Right, right.
stuff like that is just always fun.
Mhm.
And then, oh, what's the other thing? Let me think. I would say maybe the food, the drink, the community you can get when you just sit down and have a meal and just bond with people that you would never otherwise get to meet. Like, just perfect.
Yeah, the community, right? That's like
Hmm.
one of the biggest reasons I solo travel and why, and this is one of the biggest reasons I encourage other people to solo travel is because it's like you build your community. You realize that your community isn't just spanned from your hometown or even your home country. It's all over the world. You have an international community. And whenever you travel, especially when you solo travel, you always meet the right people at the right time. So
Mm.
yeah, that's
Hmm.
that's key. Um Oh, one more. Top three reasons why introverts should solo travel. Because I know you talked a lot about that. And me, I've talked previously in other podcasts about why um, solo travel has made me more extroverted. But what are the top three reasons why introverts should solo travel?
Yeah, I think there are different sort of levels of introverts, and people who get drained from being around lots of people, people who need their own time, people quiet introverts. Then there can be like the extroverted introverts, all that stuff. But I think, especially as introverts, we get stuck in a rut really easily. We don't, especially since the pandemic, we got so used to not going anywhere or doing anything. Like if
Mhm.
you're in a country that had big lockdowns, it can be really easy to just not go out there, not meet new people, not try new things. So I think it forces you outside your comfort zone, which is only a good thing. Like, you only grow when you step outside your comfort zone. Um, and also, I think it shows you that being an introvert isn't bad. Like, I've stayed in co-livings with lots of extroverts, lots of introverts, and you need both, like just like you need both in the world. Um, so it's not a bad thing if you're an introvert. It doesn't matter. You can still go and hang out with people and then go and hang out by yourself and recharge. It doesn't have to stop you. So I think, reaffirming that is a good thing. Um, and yeah, just anything you can do to I think it's just the stuck in the rut thing again. Like that was my biggest issue. I was just doing the same thing every day in, day out. Like you say, the routine, the normal routine, and I think that can get you quite down, especially if you're an introvert and you don't surround yourself with people a lot. Like we need people, we need community, like you said, and you automatically get that when you solo travel because you're forced to meet people and talk to people, and it's not something I would normally do in my everyday life, and that it takes me out of that routine. And anything that does that, you don't have to go far. Like you say, you can just, do something different a weekend, go somewhere nearby, go for an hour down the road. And yeah, you don't have to get on a plane halfway around the world, but it can still really, really help you transform and come out your shell.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, ugh, I know we're at the end, but I want to touch on something you just said. So like, that's what I've learned too when I moved to Seattle briefly for like 3 years. Yeah, I noticed that the city, like, it didn't encourage people to meet new people, right? It's like once you find your group of friends, that's it. You click. It doesn't like really empower you to grow or step out of your comfort zone. Whereas,
Mm.
like when you're traveling, you have no choice.
Mhm.
So, like,
Yeah.
and sometimes, like for me, I've talked about before, when one of the reasons why I solo travel so much is because I love being alone. Like I just
Yeah.
love that time to myself. I love doing what I want to do. I love going where I want to go. And but I think it's more that I was comfortable with traveling with myself. Like I became really comfortable with it because for me it was like it was easy to determine where to go for lunch. I want to go here, I want to go to this local place. There was none of that discomfort of like, oh my god, like what if they don't want to go there, or like, oh my god, both my friends want to go to two different places, what am I going to do? Being in the middle. I feel like, solo travel started to get me out of that comfort zone. Because it is a comfort zone, I feel like, for introverts to be alone, right? Because we don't have to worry about anybody else. We
Hmm.
don't have to worry about pleasing the group. Whereas I
Yeah.
feel like extroverts are really good at, or not, maybe not all of them, but like I think they're either good at pleasing the group or they're good at dominating the group. It's one of the two.
Hmm.
Maybe
Hmm.
there's a third option, but for me, that was like a big lesson that I learned solo traveling. That's why I really wanted to ask you that question, because I think there's like probably a lot of more introverts and extroverts in this world. So I really want to empower more introverts to solo travel. And it doesn't mean that, like, when you do solo travel, it doesn't mean you have to travel with a group the whole time. What I usually do, or what ends up happening to me, is I'll find one or two really good friends that I'm like,
Mm.
best friends with, and we travel together. Doesn't have to be traveling with a group the whole time.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. So last but certainly not least, how can my audience reach you?
Yeah, so my website is traveltransformationcoach.com. If you go there, there's a big blue button that says free guide. So if you click on that, then you can get a free guide, which is 10 ways to transform through travel, even when you can't travel. So there's
Yeah.
basically, I go into like travel transformation principles of like meeting new people, trying new things, stepping outside your comfort zone. And you can do all that, half an hour down the road, 10 minutes down the road. You don't have to go on this huge trip if you can't go in, at the moment for whatever reason. So you can go there and get that free guide. I'm on Instagram at Travel Transformation Coach, and you can also listen to my podcast, which is the Travel Transformation Podcast.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Jess, for being on here. And real quick, actually, I don't think, no, we do not have anybody on the live real quick. We had a couple of people throughout it, but usually I save the questions for the end.
Mhm.
But I think that's going to be it. Jess, thank you so much for being here with me and for empowering more people to solo travel. We need to get this train going. Okay.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for having me. It's been a really great conversation. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
of
it.
course. Yeah, this was a great conversation. Yeah, perfect. Like everything was in alignment. So thank you so much. And I will talk to you later. Peace.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, here we go.